Hi, I'm Mayce.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between.
Well, hey, bestie.
Hi, bestie.
I am so excited about this episode. This quote that we are going to talk about today is probably in my top 10, maybe even in my top 5 leadership quotes of all time.
Agreed. I would definitely say top 5 for me. It is such a good one. But before we go there, let's introduce our guest. He is a perfect example of this week's quote. He lives it out with his team, and he is going to add so much value to our listeners. Welcome, Doven Glover.
Yes, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We are just
Thank
so
you for
excited.
having me.
Yeah, we're so excited. So before we share the quote, why don't you tell our listeners more about you? Like, what are some things that you want our listeners to know about you and your career?
Sure. So born and raised small town, Durham, Arkansas, southeastern part of the state, and not much there. Just to put in perspective, graduating class of 43 people. So that's where I got started. That's where, my parents really instilled in me good work ethic, being responsible, being disciplined. I wasn't that kid that went to Disney every summer and things like that. I was cutting grass or helping remodel a house, things like that.
Wow.
But so started school there, and then kind of got to college started at the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. Go Hogs.
How did I know that was coming? How did I know that was coming?
I was going to call them, but we'll save that. But started in civil engineering, so math has always been my favorite subject.
Not ours, that's for sure. We are not mathematicians.
And so started civil engineering major. That did not work out for me, so I tried some different other majors, such as math, just trying to keep that scholarship. And then I kind of went to what I enjoyed. I was a big sports guy, so I switched over to kinesiology. And then just due to, my time there, one thing that I've always heard was, hey, going to college is going to be the best time of your life. Trying to make sure college is the best time of my life. I had a great time. However, that made me wanting to transition. So I needed to get into a different environment because I was trying to do good in an environment that was already toxic to me. So
you had too good of a time.
Too good of a time.
Yeah, too good of a time.
Yeah.
So that's how I got to Ohio, and I went to St. Clair Community College there, got my associates in exercise science, and then started school at Wright State, studying organizational leadership. However, the work path did, come a little bit more sooner than I anticipated, and that's just through my work experiences at, 3 different companies so far. And that's kind of where my leadership, I won't say started, but I began to hone my skills. I've always kind of been a natural leader, being on sports teams and academic teams and things like that. So that's kind of how I got to where I am now.
Fantastic.
Okay. And where are you? Where do you work now?
I'm at Crocs. So Crocs Distribution Center in Dayton, Ohio. Been here almost 6 years.
Okay, great.
And
fantastic.
Just kind of been, it's been a great time. Still a great time.
Yeah. Well, we all know somebody who wears your product for sure.
I mean, I can take a picture of the shoes lined in my hallway, and you would know that my
Mayce,
boys and
I can see your 40.
Yes,
their boys are big Croc fans. Big Croc fans.
All right, y'all. Awesome. We have to get into this, and know if I throw a y'all out there, I'm excited.
You're ready.
So here we go.
All right.
Here's our quote. Management is about persuading people to do things they do not want to do, while leadership is about inspiring people to do things they never thought they could. So good. And that was quoted by Steve Jobs.
All right. So, Doven, let's talk about it. What do you think when you hear this quote? I'm going to say it again because it's so good. We're going to say it twice.
Okay.
Management is about persuading people to do the things that they do not want to do. Leadership is about inspiring people to do the things they never thought they could.
Love
so what
it.
comes to mind?
Yeah, so let me kind of work this backwards,
Okay.
if you allow. So
Yeah, of course.
leadership, right? Getting people to do things that they never thought they could do. One of the things that I think about, I guess kind of like my personal quote for leadership is taking people from where they are to where they desire to be.
Ooh, yeah.
And in order to do that, you have to be able to meet people where they are. And what is your method of getting them from where they are to where they want to be, or maybe where they are from where you want them to be? And that involves a lot of, getting to know them. So being very, relational, and also just kind of seeing and kind of discerning, what they do know already, where are those barriers that can be removed. Sometimes it's just a matter of growth.
Yeah.
You have your comfort zone, you have your growth zone, you have your panic zone. So, right, you have those three different zones, and just giving them the courage that, hey, you're comfortable doing this thing. Let's try a little bit more. And just kind of break that up into parts, and before you know it, you've gone a little bit further than you have the day before.
I love that. I love that.
With the management piece, getting people to do things that they don't want to do. One of the things that I have found is, I never want to force someone to do anything, but I want to influence the person to do what they need to do. And the way I do that is try to, one, just remove any barriers or obstacles that they feel is, overbearing, overwhelming, kind of overshadowing the things. And then sometimes initially you have to incentivize, right? I mean, that's one of the things that I have
For
found
sure.
great at work. You want them to do this task, and it seems
That's
a
right.
bit daunting, and, they take frequent restroom breaks. Well, if I put an incentive behind it, they have, something to work towards, something to work for. And then I think it becomes a teaching moment. Hey, you're doing this because you get incentivized. Now you want to do it because you want to do it. You want to do it because you know how to do it. You want to, do a great job. You want to be effective. And so from that, then it just kind of, you kind of watch, for lack of a better word, kind of watch the child grow.
Yeah, I love
But
that.
I think what's so important, Devin, I think what's so important about what you said is like you chose to look at it through I'm going to incentivize the person, not consequence them. Right? Because there's a lot of people in leadership, even if you say, well, as a parent, I'm going to consequence my kid when they don't do the thing. And I will raise my hand. I mean, I did that often. And then you have this like flip of a script to say, but if what could it be if I incentivize them to do the right thing, or the thing that I want them to do, or the thing I need them to do? So oftentimes you'll find, especially if you listen to the two of us, parenting and leadership, I mean, there's a lot of sometimes babysitting, right? That happens. I know you don't know this yet, but you're not a parent quite yet, but you'll find that there's a lot of parallels there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I love this quote because I think so often people just think of leadership as that title or that position, right?
Absolutely.
But really, that title, that position, they really have very little to do with true leadership potential.
Yeah, I mean, I think management's about doing things right? You're managing people or processes, you're doing things right, but leadership is more about doing the right things. Like, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to lead because it's the right thing to do. And management is more systems and processes, while leadership is more progress and people. I mean, at least that's how we define it. Yeah.
So good. So there you have it, listeners, right? Those are clear definitions of management and leadership. But as the quote says, managers tell, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like if you consider yourself a manager, you're probably telling people what to do all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you
And
consider yourself a leader, and Doven, we want you to speak into this. If you
yeah,
consider yourself a leader, you're likely asking more, right? Like you're asking your team either as a group or as individuals, like, what do you think we should do?
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's important to get their buy-in, because when you get their buy-in, it doesn't seem so, I guess, yeah, managerial or,
Right.
dictator,
Yeah.
if you will. When you
Yes.
get their buy-in, it also makes them feel empowered to make decisions.
Yeah.
Hey, Duff, I need you to do this. This is the reason why I'm asking you to do it, and kind of go from there. And it's really developmental for your team as well, when you ask them to do those things that they may feel that they can't do, or they can, but they don't see the potential in
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Well,
It's very
oftentimes people need
developmental.
people to see the potential within them, to
Exactly.
believe in them first. So,
But you
so
had said, well, let me just say this, Miss, like
okay.
one of the words that you had used is empower, right? So when you're looking at
Yeah.
this, if you're like a manager and now you want to shift to leadership, it's the giving someone ownership, being there for them when they have questions, but like not always, I would say, like not always answering their questions. So if someone comes back to you and says, oh, I have this situation or this scenario, what do you think I should do? A manager would do, well, you should do X, Y, Z.
Do it.
That's what
Right,
a manager would
right,
do.
right.
But a leader will say, well, what do you think you should do? Like, what do you think you should do? Why are you asking me? I gave this to you. I believe in you. I'm empowering you. So I think that could be a good differentiator too, that telling and
Yeah.
That's
asking
good. That's
part.
good.
And that's
So,
why I always try to tell, any of my team, like, hey, I'm here to support you, right? I'm like a lifeguard.
right.
You're out here, you're swimming, you're afraid to go to the deep, go on out there. It's okay.
Love that.
I'll let you sink, but I won't let you drown. I'm here to bring you back up to life.
Oh,
That's
that's
good.
good.
And that's kind of one of my, I guess, one of my mantras in this leadership
I
world.
So
can see
good.
that like like putting that on the warehouse like wall. I'll let you sink, but I'll
Yes.
never let you drown. Like
Yes.
I think that's really good.
That is really
Yeah.
good. So let me ask you then kind of a follow-up question on that,
Sure.
Doven. Like obviously it seems like you have this innate sense to continually try to be in leader mode. Why do you think so many leaders get stuck in management mode?
Probably because probably because they're trying to be something. If we spend a lot of time trying to be something instead of become who we've been purposed to be, I
Yeah.
think it kind of dilutes that transition from management to leadership. So if I'm always in that posture of making sure this person is doing X, Y, and Z, and hey, you need to do it this way, you're really stripping away that person's own
Yes.
thoughts and their personalities and their own ideologies about it. But when you give them a little bit of rope and hey, this is what I want you to do with this.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that kind of, for myself, that has kind of helped shape me and my leadership is I had a mentor tell me, we always hear when life give you lemons, make lemonade. But this particular mentor, he told me when life give you lemons, make orange juice and let people wonder how it happened. And
Oh, I
that
love
just,
that.
If we only
it just,
dated, that is
yeah,
so
I know.
good. I've never
it,
heard of that
that just kind
ever
of
Me
before.
blew my
either.
mind. Yeah.
That is like a mic drop. I
Oh,
love that. When
wow.
life gives you lemons, make orange juice. What was it?
Yeah, when life give you lemons, make orange juice and let people wonder how you did it. And it's more so for a continuous improvement mindset, right? You
Yeah.
see things that's
Yes.
not there, and hey,
Think
we've always
outside the
done it this
box.
way.
Yes.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
love
So
that. I
good.
love that so much. I mean, I think a lot of it, listen, people's name tags say manager, right? We work with a lot of companies and their job title, their name tag says manager. And we work so hard with our clients to help them change the mindset, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Change the mindset. Your name tag may never say leader, but when you change the mindset, you could change the mindset to that of a leader.
That's right.
Absolutely.
I mean, we may not be able to change the name tag
No,
or the
right.
title, but it is the mindset. It's the mindset that makes you a leader. It's the actions that make you a leader. It's not what's written next to your name.
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
So good. So, Doven, so many people, I think, they think themselves as managers and maybe at no fault of their own, right? Maybe they never had the training or a mentor to teach them anything better. All they ever know is management. So how can someone who has that mindset, what would you say to them to help them start shifting towards this becoming a leader?
Yeah, I would say the first thing, and this is probably something that I do quite often. I say one thing is self-reflection, right? Take the time to do self-inventory on yourself. Examine what did you do today, right?
Really good.
And what moves, what shifts can you make to kind of shift from being more manager towards leader? And I think to do that effectively, you need to kind of have understanding of, hey, what is leader? What is it that I'm shifting towards?
Yeah, I love that.
Right. You heard about my exercise science background. One of the things that we told clients that they taught us is, hey, when people want to lose weight, they give us all these methods for, hey, so you want a cheeseburger, you can still, take baby steps. Get the cheeseburger, but remove the cheese, just make it a hamburger. So there's 20 less calories there, and so forth and so on. So that same concept can be applied to to this. And I can say when I first started, especially when I got into my supervisory role, I was more of a manager, and I was more of a manager probably because I didn't really trust my team.
Yes.
So because I didn't trust my team, I did a lot. Delegation was very little. It was more of making sure things were being done the way, I perceived them to get done. And what helped me transition from that was my manager at the time. You need to get off that computer. You need to be engaging with your team.
Yeah.
And so when I started doing that, it forced me to trust that my team would do what I asked them to do, which leads me, I guess, to not necessarily my next point, but having clear expectations, right? As long as those expectations are clear, I've learned that, your team is going to be able to perform the tasks that you asked, the way you want them to. And eventually they'll be a step ahead of you. Hey, W, I've done A, B, and C. I know you're going to ask me about D, so I've got that next on deck, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
We talk so often about trust, but I've never really thought about it in that way.
Me neither, Missy. Me neither. Like I never even considered it. It's such a good point. It's funny because one of our mentors says that trust is the foundation of everything. And you just proved it because you had said that. So obviously for our listeners, right, the goal here is to move from persuading or telling people what to do to really inspiring them. And when you are managing people, it really can be seen, I think, Miss, I'm sure you would agree with me, right? It could be seen as micromanaging. Like you're telling your team what to do.
Yes.
You're on top of them. You've got your finger on them. So what I'd ask you, because you mentioned reflection, Doven, like in that reflection time, and listeners, if you're not reflecting, you better add that to your list of things.
Make it a priority.
A better leader.
Absolutely.
It's such an amazing small thing that could be so effective. But what do you think they have to realize about themselves to say, you know what? I am micromanaging. Like this does seem more like management. Listen, it's not called micro leadership. I don't even think I've ever heard the term micro leadership, right? That's why it's called micromanaging.
Right.
So what clues in their reflection time might someone realize about themselves? Like, you know what? I am managing and I'm not leading?
Yeah, I think some of those clues during their reflection or during a reflection would be really just seeing how much you are doing. Um, are there things that you're doing that can be delegated?
Yes.
I understand that, for me and, my leads, I let them know, hey, some things are essential for me. I have to do this. No one else can. Some
Right.
things some things I can delegate. The things that I delegate, don't micromanage, but you want to follow up and you want to be sure that you give them enough time to do what you ask them to do.
That's a
And
good
there
point,
has,
because I think people forget that. Like, I want to give them, you
yeah,
got to give them enough time to do the thing.
Or let them do it their way and not
e-
necessarily your way as the leader,
exactly,
Right.
right?
exactly. Let them do it their way. And yes, there's been times where I've had team members who have done things their way, and I've given them time, and I come back and follow up, and yeah, it's completely wrong, right?
Right,
So, but
sure.
as the leader, you'll take that. I always tell my team, hey, I'll take the hit for this because I'm growing you, I'm developing you, because people learn from their
Yes.
mistakes,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? So let them, give them enough opportunity to do what they need to do or do what you want them to do. And when you follow back up with them, maybe at the end of the day or whatever that time is, then more that you do that, you'll begin to develop more of a leadership mentality.
Love
um
that.
But
yeah.
Devin,
Love
would
that.
you say that although you've done that before, you've empowered people and they've messed up, there have had to be examples that you could think of that it worked out okay, or maybe even better, right? Like, we
Right.
want to encourage
Yeah,
people, don't not empower because you're scared that people are
sure.
going to mess up. People are going to mess up. That's part of it. Love what you said, that they're going to grow from their mistakes, but there are instances where people also do a much better job than maybe we could even do ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think one example that I have that I can use something here most recently. So I currently work on the inbound side of the business. I've been outbound the last 5 years. So the inbound side is new. And there's different trailers that we unload and things like that. And one of the things that we have are these live unloads, which means we have to unload it within 2 hours. And most times the method of unloading, depending upon the type of shipment it is, we can just take it off the trailer, throw it on the line and let it run its course. There are other shipments that have to be manually received. And so I asked the question, hey, why do we manually receive these? And of course I give the explanation and all of that. But the point is, I was so I was so focused on, I guess, doing it the way I was trained by the
The way it's always
Yes.
been
predecessor of
done.
doing
Yes.
it. And I was very managerial. Okay, well, we need to throw these on the line because I mean they have a barcode like the other cases. They should scan like the other cases. And yeah, when I attempted in my early time first coming over here, I would say about 80% of those cases did not get received, which kind of proved the point that, hey, I should have listened to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the other team members, the
Yeah.
other lead, and kind of understand that, hey, just because someone may not be, the same level as you, that doesn't necessarily mean
Mhm.
they don't know a better way.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm going to throw one of my grandmother, one of her quotes in here. She used to say, "There's more than one way to skin a cat,"
Oh,
and so right, and so I think that is really a way to look at this. Even in the mistakes, you
hmm
find a learn that could lead to a better process system, et cetera. So
yeah.
as we start to wrap up, what's one simple practice that a leader can start this week to move away from persuasion and into inspiration? How
Ooh,
can they
good
start
question.
changing that culture through inspiration? What's one thing they could do?
Let's see. From persuasion to
Like, really
inspiration.
from telling, to asking. Like, yes,
Or
that would be an
inspiring.
obvious, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Got you.
stop telling and start asking. But what would be like, what if someone wanted to stop managing and start leading? What would you tell them to do?
Yeah. I mean, simply put, I would just tell them to try it, because, most people haven't tried to just ask a person to do something, and then get the commitment from them.
Oh, I
Right.
love that.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
if it's something that they haven't done before because you've always done it, and start small, right? You don't want to start big. Start small, and whatever it is that you need them to do, ask them to do it. Get their commitment, and then I would follow up, let them know that you're there to support. They're not in
Yeah.
this
Love
alone.
it.
They're never in
Yeah.
this alone.
Yeah.
So
That's
good.
really,
And I think that would be a good way to start, if
yeah,
a
just
person have
one,
not done
do
it
it.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
it, but start small. So good.
start.
So I think this is a great segue to our big takeaway for the week. So listeners, if you only take away one thing from this week's episode, let it be this. Persuasion can change what people do, right? It gets them to complete a task or check a box or follow instructions. But inspiration, that goes deeper. It changes
Yes.
what people believe in themselves about the mission, about the team. When we shift our beliefs, our behaviors are going to follow. And the results are going to be far more powerful than just being compliant.
Compliance, right? And I totally agree, Macy. And that's why true leadership it's not about pushing people, right? It's about pulling the best out of them
Ooh,
from within.
that's a good visual. Like pushing is
Yeah.
managerial, but
Yes.
pulling something
Yes.
out, that's
Pulling
really
and
good.
pulling the best out of them. And
Yeah.
I really think a real leader helps people see their strengths. It's that potential that Doven talked about, seeing that in them, seeing
Yeah.
things they didn't know that they even had inside, and begin realizing possibilities they never imagined. And
Yeah.
when leaders do that, they don't just hit goals. They're unlocking potential that will last far beyond one project or one season.
Yeah, so good. Well, Doven, thank you so much for being here. You were such a
My
great guest.
pleasure.
One of the things that I admire about you is your tone and your pace in your voice is just really calming. Like Missy and I
Yeah.
can be very chaotic and like really
Oh,
up
yeah.
here and hyper, but I really appreciate, like, I'm sure that the people that you lead must appreciate that as you as well. So I wanted to make sure to mention that because I
Yeah.
felt it, right? There's a peace in
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
voice and a calm and a steady. So thank you for
Yeah.
Yeah.
that.
When you work in a high stress environment, you have to be able to, to manage self.
Sure.
Yeah, no,
And,
Sure.
that's so good.
that's important because
It
people see
is.
you,
That's
Yeah.
right.
right? And
And
They're
they
so
feel
looking.
you, right? Like
even
That's
I
people that you
felt
don't
that's
it.
know is
right.
watching.
Right. I
That's right.
felt it. So they're feeling that piece. So that's really good.
So, Devin, if our listeners wanted to stay connected with you or learn more about what your company offers, how can they
Yeah.
do that?
The best way to do that is LinkedIn. So I am on LinkedIn, Doven, and that's Doven with an N, Dove like a dove, right?
Yeah.
Doven Glover. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm probably the only Doven
And we'll
in
put
the
that
world.
in the show notes
Yeah,
as well.
we're gonna put it in the show notes
Okay.
as well.
Yep.
Now, hopefully you've listened to some of our episodes, and then if you did, you know that we asked this of all of our guests. What is your favorite leadership quote?
Yeah, my favorite leadership quote. So there's one, and I got this from. He's been a mentor for me for a while, but is fatigue is lethal to anyone that's desiring to be successful.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Fatigue is lethal to anyone that's desiring to be successful. And that's actually from my pastor, Reverend Leroy Anthony, and basically embedded in that quote, life is busy, right? And
Yeah.
we're engaged in so many different things. Everything is pulling us all different kinds of ways. So fatigue is essential, but it's also lethal to anyone that's designed to be
Yeah.
successful.
Wow.
So I think it's important, one, to get rest, whatever that looks like. Because I know it's hard for me to turn my brain off,
Yeah.
sometimes,
Amen.
but
Yes.
I do keep that in my mind, and I have learned, let me say that I have learned to take small breaks, even if it's only 10 minutes.
So good.
To kind of reset my
good.
brain, reset myself.
Yeah.
I actually saw a TV commercial. They're now saying green noise, which I mean, there's all these pink noise.
I know. I've heard something about brown noise.
They said green noise helps with that, getting your brain to like calm itself and stop all the voices.
So interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, we want to hear from you too. Do you have a favorite leadership quote? We know you do. So send it our way and we might spotlight it on a future episode.
And we'll be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights. And you know what we're going to do?
We're gonna talk about it.
Bye, bestie.
Bye, Doven. Thank you so much. Bye, Mayce.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this show, please show us some love by clicking the 3 dots to download the podcast, leave us a 5-star rating on your podcast app, and talk about it with other leaders to help them find the show from any of the major podcast apps. We'd love for you to follow us on social media too. Mpactful with an M _ messages on Instagram and Mpactful Messages on LinkedIn.